Guys, this is Shadowq, and today I'm going to be talking about the Combo Breaker patch notes. I'm gonna skip over some of the more minutia stuff, and I really want to focus on today what's going to be balance affecting and gameplay affecting and all that good stuff. I'm not really going to talk about the new god because that kind of stuff is really hard to evaluate at just a face glance. So I'm going to start just on gameplay, just hop right into it. The first thing that it says under general is that the Fire Giant and Gold Fury now have a 50% healing reduction from lifesteal, um, which means that it's going to be much harder to solo. Also remember that this does stack with the current Fire Giant debuff, which I believe is 20% reduced damage and lifesteal. So soloing Fire Giant is basically going to be ridiculously hard from now on. And Gold Fury is going to have to be a much more calculated risk when teams go for it. The change that this basically does to the meta and gameplay is that these objectives are going to obviously be harder to do. It'll be much harder to sneak them without repercussion, and I think it creates for a less snowbally gameplay and effect, which is really good. I am fully behind this change. I think it's anti-snowball. I think it's anti-cheese, and this is probably really good for the game. One concern that I don't think a lot of people have really thought about for this is because the value of life stealing objectives goes down, hunter builds are diversified a little bit, but more importantly, things like Bastet cats are really valuable. Things like bursting the objective before you really take damage from it, like a noob assault, become more valuable, an ice assault. So maybe this will lead to more cheese gods, if you want to call them that, being picked. But in general, this is actually still pretty good of a change, I think. I don't think you'll see more Bastets or Anubises or Isis just because of this change. So maybe somebody will figure a way to incorporate that because it's harder to do otherwise. But in general, thumbs up. Good change. Good job. Good job, Hi-Rez. So next we have the wording changes. Let's get that at the right spot. Okay, so basically what this is I'll just read it off first. So they reduce the maximum number of wards placed per player that can be on the map at one time from 3 to 2. Before you only could have 3 wards on the map at once, and now you can only have 2. Killing an enemy basic ward or sentry wards 50 gold. Basic ward vision range reduced a little bit. All wards are revealed for 1 second when placed, and Eye of Providence has been removed. So the first change that I'm going to talk about here is the maximum number of wards. Only 2 wards per player now. I think this will heavily affect ranked because sometimes people just, you know, don't ward. And this change really puts it on the back of everybody to, well, buy wards. And when this doesn't happen, games can be kind of frustrating. So this might make everything but the competitive scene more frustrating, but might make for a less stale warding metagame, like they said, in competitive. So not a bad change, but I'm very skeptical of how this will pan out in ranked. Next, killing an enemy basic ward or sentry rewards 50 gold. I mean, I guess it's not really good or bad. It rewards teams that have smarter wards. Might, like I said before, and like Hyra said, change the warding metagame. So I think that's just a positive, I guess. Doesn't really change anything though, except makes you be smarter about it, which I guess is a good thing. Basic word vision range reduced from 60 to 45. Another good change because this basically means you can't just have vision on everywhere now. Uh, Before you kind of well had vision everywhere and it was really hard to gank people, so we're either going to see people having to play ridiculously safe or maybe more action and more fight gods that'll try to promote fighting more often is hopefully the goal that they're trying to get out of this. The next change is actually absolutely hilarious. All wards are revealed for 1 second when placed. This is a terrible change, but for the most hilarious reason. Okay, so when a ward is revealed for the 1 second that you place it, you can actually hit it before it turns back invisible. Which means if a hunter is on you or a Kali's on you or something like that, you can actually soak their auto attacks with those wards before they expire, and the wards won't even die. They'll go invisible right after the fact. So you're not going to be giving up any more than the cost of the ward to absorb hundreds of damage mid-fight, which is going to be hilarious. Like, I'm thinking of the scenario where all the hunter has left in his kit are auto attacks. You have 3 wards in your inventory, and you have blink up in a few seconds. So you just soak 3 auto attacks in a row and blink out in a situation that you have no right to get out of. It's just gonna be cheese city. It'll be absolutely hilarious. I think this change is hilarious. It's terrible for the game. Keep it in the game because it's funny as shit. Please. So Eye of Providence has been removed. Nobody cares. Nobody got it. Doesn't matter. Moving on. Gold Fury. The Gold Fury rewards now scale. So at first starts at 100 gold and 100 experience, gaining plus 10 per minute, and the Gold Fury now breaks player deployables. Um, Before you could do things like pillar tank it with on her, which was super cheesy, gets rid of that. Good change. Uh, the game was really snowbally based off of early Gold Series. This slows down the snowballing. Really good. Nothing much else to say there. Gold Fury is now worth like half a wave or something like that, but it'll still be worth it to go for it every point that you would have before. It doesn't really change gameplay. It might make teams do it more calculatedly, and it's still a good way to push your lead when you have a lead. It just doesn't explode the game out of control instantly. This is a very good change. I approve. Kill bounties. Let's go down to kill bounties. Let's see. Globally, XP bounties for players has been adjusted to reward less experience for early game kills by giving 50 plus 30 times victims level, and arena it's pretty much the same. That doesn't really matter. But for conquest, I mean, it looks like I don't know the numbers from before. I honestly don't. I really, really don't. But it seems like it's just less experience for getting kills early, which is anti-snowball. So I guess I approve the change. Anti-snowball is good. The game gets out of control too much at the current state. So this is a very good change for the game. I approve. Jungle creatures. So basically, what we're gonna see here is reduced health and like damage from pretty much all the camps, and this is going to be more or less because of the hog changes that we're gonna see in the future. So I'll go back to this. All that you have to take out of this for now is that minions have reduced HP and they deal slightly less damage. And that's basically it. It doesn't really matter yet. So let's go down for a bit and we'll get back to that in a sec. Conquest jungle camps, attack speed buff purple and blue have their respawn timer reduced from 4 minutes to 3. Back camps have their respawn timer reduced from 100 to 80. And the elder mid camps are now starting at 10 seconds instead of 3 minutes. So let's start with blue and purple. This means that there is, and back camps, I guess, for that matter. This means there's so much more farm in the game, it's ridiculous. It's clear speed is going to be more highly valued than ever before. Gods like Ymir and Sylvanas as support will pull ahead. Gods like Xbalanque will fall off because they have really slow lane clear. If you have more time to get more jungle camps, you will get ahead of the team more than before, and that's actually insane. Uh, that's basically how it's going to pan out. I don't know if that's really good or bad. It does limit the amount of gods that are going to be viable because it's really only those who push that are going to be picked. But it's kind of always been that way, so I don't think this really changes too much about the game. You might see some people picking some weird janky strats to try to secure the camps, but in a competitive setting, I can't imagine it being anything but just dual lane gets their purple on cooldown and solo lane gets their blue on cooldown. I mean, that's just what's going to happen. Uh, I can't really see stuff. I think people have tried out like double jungle on the PTS, but I don't think that really has any merit unless something weird is there that I'm missing. But a really, really important one are that the Elder Harpy camps at mid now spawn at 10 seconds. And this is probably the most, at least in my opinion, the most controversial change in the entire patch. And that's because in Season 1, this is exactly how it was. They spawn the same time as other buffs at the beginning of the game. And people didn't necessarily completely exploit it, but a lot of the time, this led to a ridiculous level 1 snowball. Like, if you have level 1 god that can just prevent the other team from getting both mid camps, you are so ridiculously far ahead, it's insane. Like, this is probably the biggest change to snowballing they've added this entire patch, more than the ones that I've approved of before. And this will probably lead to a lot more snowballing in the game. Limit god pools to those who succeed at level 1, and that's it. It doesn't really do anything else other than that. So I don't really know why they did this change if they're trying to reduce snowballing. But that being said, something that people should consider when looking at major changes like this are metas become stale. Whether they're good or bad, they do. People want change, and that's good. Hi-Rez is looking to change the game pretty dramatically with this, and they're going to get it. Whether it's good or bad, they're hopefully going to succeed their goal of drastically changing the game. So whether this was the correct way to do it or not, I'm not sure. But from Hi-Rez's perspective, making a major change like this is probably a good thing for the game in general. Uh, like I said, that being said, it's just a tough one to swallow, I guess. Now here's the biggest item change they did. They basically changed Hand of the Gods. Rank 1 works on 1 target. Rank 2 works on 2 targets. Rank 3 still works on 3 targets. So let's talk about the number of targets affected real quick. So this means for jungle camps, it's going to be harder to jungle, it's going to be slower, and it might even warrant not getting Hog on characters that previously got Hog. Importantly, though, they also reduce the HP of jungle camps. Like I said before, we'll go back to that. So jungle camps have less HP, so it basically means the junglers are going to have the same amount of or clear time if they have Hog, even if it's just rank 1. But it also gives more value to characters that have faster clear in the jungle. This also means that you don't have to laugh at people anymore. They get Fist of the Gods quite as much. Uh, it was quite bad with getting that really early in the game before, but it has a little bit more merit now. The biggest change, I don't think those will really matter too much. They might actually, well, this is a change that's going to be really hard to evaluate. Before you didn't play mages in the solo lane because of the threat of jungle buff invades. This might make that it like harder to invade, or it might not mean that people get as many hogs, which means like there might be some like weird meta counterplay to buying hog unexpectedly. Like this change is really hard to read and will be like what people do is going to be based on what people do around this. So I can't really decisively say whether this is going to affect the game positively, negatively, snowbally. Like it's so hard to read this change, it's ridiculous. So I'm going to just let this sit for now and come back to it later. But it's an interesting change at the very least. A big change to Hog, though, is that Wrath of the Gods no longer secures objectives, but instead does 900 true damage instead of the 480 that it did before. Now, I don't know the exact numbers on this. I probably should have done this before I started making this video, but 900 true damage is actually more than 25% of a gold's health for quite a while into the middle of the game. So that's pretty interesting. It might mean that you can actually do gold more easily than before despite the lifesteal changes, but it's pretty irrelevant because mitigated by the fact that gold only gives 100 gold now compared to the 300 that it did before. Um, One thing that makes this change really, really, really clunky though is that a lot of mage ultimates actually do more than 900 damage, which means it might be literally impossible for your support to secure objectives sometimes, which is absolutely absurd. I don't really see the point in that. It makes safe games become winnable only through cheese. It means I don't really understand why they would do that. Uh, it doesn't really create hype. It'll just slow down games that should have already been pushed to get their lead. And I don't know. Not being able to secure an objective when your team should so decisively get it due to simply cheese is not something I want to see in the game. It's not fun. Makes people not want to play support, which is probably the already least desirable role in the game. So I would probably call for an immediate reversion of this change. What it will mean for a competitive scene, though, is that maybe we'll see some more nuke mage ults be picked just to secure it on your team or try to steal on the other team. And teams will have to be way more coordinated in trying to use as many of their moves at the same time to secure it as possible, which I guess is kind of interesting gameplay wise. But I think this is the clunkiest change they could have probably implemented, and I very, very, very much dislike it. Okay, Greater Sprint, moving on. Greater Sprint no longer removes in-hand movement speed penalty. This has been overdue since its Sprint's release, basically. Good. I've said this before. It's very clunky that you can infinite chase people down, especially with the strength of ADCs in the meta right now, so good change. Heavenly Agility, reduced duration from 6 to 5. Who cares? Pretty damn irrelevant. Hastens Vitalis, the in-hand movement speed penalty is now removed for 2 seconds instead of 1 second on successful hit. People don't really realize this, but this is a huge buff because sometimes you miss the auto attack after the first one, and you don't have a perma sprint. You have a like on and off kind of uh, no movement penalty thing, which is really weird. So this is actually a huge buff to the item, and if Heartseeker didn't get nerfed, which you're going to see down the line here, you might be able to see some no boots Heartseeker Fatalis boots 1 builds, which would be interesting. But this could actually be incorporated into builds. This will make auto attack assassins really, really, really good. Um, but more so as far as auto attack assassins go, chin size. Price reduced by 200 gold. Probably a decent item again. Hard to do the math just out of hand, but it seems like this item will probably be viable again, which is interesting. I could go on a side rant of why this item is poorly designed and why it's cheesy, but for now I'll just say that it might make some assassins be in the meta again, which is a good thing, I guess. Choose the Magi reduced power, increased pen. At almost every single point in the game, this is going to be a net damage increase, even though you're losing 15 magic power. The price is also increased by 50 gold, but that's pretty irrelevant. This is actually a kind of nerf to mages who previously got CDR boots like Janice, because, well, it just makes other mages stronger relatively, because you might still get CDR boots on people like Janice because it's just really strong, and he doesn't have access to this extremely strong item in the game now. Additionally, something that's probably not necessarily intended by high res is that these are extremely good on Guardians right now. Even as support, you probably will get these almost every game. Maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration. It's really hard to tell at this point, but these boots are really, 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 really strong. Um, I'm looking forward to, carrying games again in ranked. That's going to be fun. Going on to Magi's Blessing. Price increased by a little bit, increased cooldown from 60 to 90. 90 seconds is probably a solid spot for the cooldown to be at. I think that's a very good thing. Before it used to be 30 seconds or 45 or something like that. And what wound up happening is you would pop a Magi's and then not fight, and then it would come back up before you fought, meaning that all the tactical things that you did, like warding and baiting wards and all that stuff to try to get people's Magi's, was completely wasted because it just came back up instantly. This change is very good. It still will mean that people get the item very, very often, uh, and it's just a little bit less cheesy and more. It's more rewarding to pop the bubble now before a fight starts. It's just very, very smart, very good change. Um, Good, very good change. So Heartseeker basically means this is completely reworked. This item is Heartseeker. Before you got stacks per last hit. Now you only get stacks per player kill, but it is the same total amount of stacks that you got before, and it's the same amount of physical power that you got before, but half of your stacks are lost on death. This means that this item will never stack if you're in an even game, at least not as often as it should. It's basically just a majorly nerfed Heartseeker, and almost every other item in the game is going to be better than this. So, um, I guess they didn't want Heartseeker and Doomworm to snowball the game as much, so they might as well remove the items because you should never ever get this again. And same exact thing for Doomorb. Same total power, stacks lost on death. Less. It was a really snowbally game or item for the early game. It just got your magic power there earlier than like anyone else or any other item would. So they might as well just have removed both of these items. I don't really see how this change to them would make them more appealing to get or really appealing at all. But hey, there it is. Terrible change. Might as well have removed it. Maybe they were OP in the game, but you could nerf it without making it dead. So that's really strange. Void Shield tooltip, tooltip, tooltip. So a lot of the stuff that's left is going to be tooltips, but I'm going to go down to best stat real quick. Um, the health of the cats is reduced by more or less 150, uh, which is basically to compensate for the hog change because it doesn't hit 3 targets anymore. So that's really good. That probably balances best stats early game out a bit. She might need actually a little bit more tuning after we see how things pan out, but it's really good that high-res is looking, more deeply into their changes rather than just at face value, because this is something that most people would probably have overlooked. So very, very, very good change. Very preemptive. Finally, is there anything really important that's left? Let's take a look. Most of this is just tooltip updates and bug fixes. Yeah, that's actually pretty much it. You can no longer kill Ratatoskr twice, so that's pretty cool. In one death. Other than that, that's it for the patch, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Make sure you subscribe to me on YouTube and follow me on my other social media. That'll be in the description below. Thank you much for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. Hope you all have a good day, and I'll see you next time.